Hey, everyone. So we are doing a panel today on profit optimization, how to make more money through testing. Testing has come up on pretty much every panel today, so excited to hear how some brands have been going deep on that. I'm Drew. I'm one of the co-founders at Intelligems. We are a profit optimization platform. What does that mean? We run lots of A/B tests and personalizations. We go beyond your typical CRO, can also help you test prices, shipping rates, offers, things that really help drive bottom line margin and get more out of every visitor that you're paying to get to your site. So have two customers of ours up here today, Libie and Ian. We'll let you guys maybe introduce yourselves and the brands. Thanks for coming down.
Yeah, sure. So my name is Libie. I am one of the founders of Fulton. Fulton is a modern brand of arch support. So we offer comfortable, supportive, and sustainable insoles that mold to your arch as you walk to prevent pain, overpronation, all that. We are a pretty young brand. We're about 3 years old, very small. It's just myself and my co-founder, but we've grown a lot in the last few years. It seems like a lot of people have pain, and a lot of that is thanks to our testing and using tools like Intelligems.
Yeah, my name's Ian Sweeney. I started with BRUNT about 4 years ago alongside the founder and co-founder. I run all things digital experience, so everything from merchandising to product road mapping, and of course testing. A little bit about BRUNT. At the surface level, we are a work boot and apparel company, but we stand for a lot more. Our founder grew up in a blue-collar household. All of his buddies ended up going to pursue a career in the trades, and he felt like there was a gap in the market. The status quo of the workwear industry wasn't meeting the modern-day workers' needs, and so because of that, we have deep personal ties to the trades. We try to factor our customers' voice into literally everything we do. Even some of our products are named after real workers. At the end of the day, we're just trying to build something better for the 20 million plus Americans who built this country.
Awesome. Thanks, guys. And we do have non-foot themed customers as well. So let's talk about pricing, and I would include your offers, your shipping rates, bundles, all as part of pricing. How had you guys historically approached that, and where does testing fit into those disciplines for you guys? And maybe Libie, you can start first.
Yeah, of course. So it's kind of ironic. I think my co-founder and I, we went to business school, and you learn a lot of different frameworks for determining pricing, like conjoint analysis and different price sensitivity things. But honestly, when it came to actually deciding on the price, it was a little bit of finger in the air. What do we think is right? We looked at competitors, and we tried to figure out what is the benefit of the perceived benefit of our product. So we know that there's very expensive custom orthotics on one end, and then much less expensive foam insoles that you can buy at the drugstore, and we should be somewhere in between there. There are other competitors that have sort of products around $60, so we thought, okay, we should kind of be somewhere mid-range like that. We really liked even numbers, so we decided on 48. It's a little bit less than 50. And then we kind of worked backwards to make sure that we didn't even work backwards. We got really lucky. I think that margins of the final product worked with a $48 price point. Since then, we have done a lot of testing on pricing and ultimately found out that $48 was the right price, at least right now. I don't know, it might change with inflation and other things, but right now it's the right price. We have done some other tests around offers and shipping and things like that have changed the business, and I can speak to that later. But as far as pricing specifically, $48 has been validated by Intelligems.
Nice. Yeah, and I think on a similar note, we kind of, when we launched, we've always been super test driven. We led with competitor research. We tried to back into pricing that felt right for us. We're one of the first DTC workwear brands, and so we immediately were offering a better value. And so pricing was tricky. I think what's really changed that I'm sure a lot of you can relate to is when we launched, we were a team of 3 people, right? And so we were still testing, but it was really hard to sit down and figure out the learnings. Now we have access to platforms like Intelligems, which just help us develop a little bit more of a nuanced testing strategy. We can dig deeper into our price testing and also understand like where the gaps are and where the opportunities are.
So I'll pick on the list price part. Like, you have stayed at 48 since launch. How often have you guys at Brunt changed prices on the boots?
Yeah, so I'm thinking back, maybe a year and a half ago, we raised our boot prices across the board by $10. I think going back to testing as a whole, it's sort of the reason why we test is we're trying to get that customer feedback. And so the customer is telling us is that they're willing to pay a little bit more for the value that we're offering. Since then, we've run a variety of different tests. We've been running tests that are like $5 versus $9, right? There's like some number psychology we're playing with. 99 cents at the end of the product price versus not. So we've been testing, I would say, more recently, once a month for price testing, and finding some really interesting learnings.
Cool. I'm curious because I think Libby's story of we did some cost plus, we checked some competitor and kind of stuck with the price is familiar. Of people here, show of hands, who's changed prices in the last 3 years? Okay, who's changed prices in the last 1 year? Who's changed prices in the last 6 months? Last 2 months? Last month? Oh, yeah, that's pretty good. When we first started in 2020, people were like, we haven't touched prices in 5 years because costs have been flat and everything. So I'm glad to see that people are like paying attention to it. As you guys like monitor your own businesses, and before we talk about specific tests, like what metrics are you guys looking at for a profitability basis, or like, on a weekly or monthly basis to figure out if your offer is working or if your price is working and when it may be time to change? Like, just as operators, what are you guys anchoring on? And I know I didn't prep you on that question, so.
No, I think it comes down to customer acquisition cost, and we can sort of work backwards on what are our customer acquisition costs, what is the LTV of the customer, like how many insoles are they buying, or how many pairs of insoles are they buying in a year, or on their first purchase, and work backwards as to like what price do we need, how aggressive can we get with the offer, and how much can we spend to acquire a customer.
Do you focus on totally first order profitability?
Yeah, we want to be first order profitable, and then after that, we have more flexibility.
Yeah, I think for us, it's similar, right? We're always focused on customer acquisition costs. I know that our growth team does not appreciate me very much when we run price increase tests for those days, but I think we find that there's like a benefit to trying that, but also digging deeper into the different segments that we're targeting. One of our goals is to get more customers to purchase cross-category. So not just a pair of boots, but pants as well, right? And so getting the offer down to understand like what's going to pull the lever on that first purchase and the second purchase of the pants to boots, just to hit that sweet spot. When you combine the two, it's a hefty price. And so what can we do to make that a little bit easier for our customer?
Yeah, so let's get specific on that. So your growth team is mad at you when you raise prices. You're trying to like sell pants.
They're not too mad. They're not too mad.
They give you a side eye. Like, how have you guys evolved that offer and the price? Like, talk through some of what you've experimented with and how that's evolved as you guys have added new categories.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing that we see is tying it back to our content testing as well, right? We've been running, I want to say like 4 to 5 tests a month on the site. So price tests included on that. What we see is, yeah, sure, we might see a price increase. We might lose a little bit, but we can actually make that back if we run some different price tests, right? Or different content tests. So everything from measuring, right, what are our add to carts from the mini cart? How is that impacting things? What's the overall conversion rate on our PDPs? How do we improve that? If you lift those two things together, we see some pretty positive results, and then it takes the burden off of a lot of our acquisition team.
So you raise the price, capture more margin there, but conversion goes down. and then try to find ways to keep conversion up.
Yeah, I mean, I think some of our biggest wins have been on the content side, right? I think price is one thing, but one thing we really started to pay attention to was just the fundamentals, right? How easy is it for our customer to get to the point of purchase? And if we make that better, then we might see a loss in pricing a little bit, but we're not giving away a ton.
Cool. Libby, I know that like shipping and getting people to buy a multiple has been a big unlock for you guys. So maybe you can talk a little bit about how the list price hasn't changed, but how your guys' overall offer and price structure has evolved over time.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think that's something that we've learned is that one of the levers that we have the most control over or can impact the most is AOV, and that has really fundamentally changed our business. So when we launched the company, our goal was very much like, let's get insoles in as many shoes as possible, like as quickly as possible. And because of that, we launched with free shipping, no minimum, like no questions asked. And I mean, that was great, but we noticed that the AOV was basically one pair of insoles. It was like, I think it was like $49 for the occasional person that bought more than one. And that was not a sustainable way to build our business. And so then we thought, okay, how do we get people to buy more than one pair of insoles? And that came down to a combination of like encouraging bundling, but then also asking people to pay for shipping and imposing a free shipping minimum. So now the free shipping minimum is $60. And so basically that asks them to either buy another pair of insoles or a pair of socks is the other option. And that has increased our AOV by 40%. And we did a lot of A/B testing and found that like the decrease in conversion rate was so marginal, and the increase in AOV was so impactful that it was 100% worth it to add that the shipping threshold. And I think the other thing is that we do encourage people. We found other ways to help people think that there isn't as much risk. So we have a 90-day comfort guarantee, and just tell people that no matter what, you can try these insoles and it's risk-free.
Have you seen any impact on like repeat rates from selling more upfront?
That's a good question. It's kind of hard to say. I mean, part of the thing is that we did launch a second product, a second version of the insole at a similar time as we increased or added the free shipping threshold. And so we have seen a significant increase in repeat, but I don't know if it's because of the new product or the free shipping. I mean, I think part of it is once you get a pair of insoles in someone's shoes and they've tried it, if they like it, they are going to buy another pair. So yeah, I think that's one of the learnings.
Cool. So when you're testing something like a free shipping rate or adding a threshold, your conversion rate goes down. So like, what's the metric that you're looking at? Or how are you trying to balance that? Okay, I made extra AOV on these, but I lost conversion. How do you analyze that and decide what you're going to go with?
Well, the Intelligems dashboard has a lot of great information. I think I believe you have like revenue per customer, profit per customer, and those are really important metrics to look at. And I think kind of answer the exact question. I think we will look at revenue per customer, we'll look at profit per customer. Ultimately, I think we'd rather have more customers than less if revenue per customer is the same. But the difference was so significant that it was quite obvious that having a free shipping threshold was the way to go.
Cool. One thing I hear a lot is testing takes time and there's always going to be a loser. So you are allocating some traffic to something that's not doing the best. And, Ian, I know your guys' team has grown a bunch and you guys have gone through phases of focusing on it and then having places where you just need to pull the trigger. How do you guys think about prioritizing which tests to run? Who is in charge of testing? Are there different teams on different pieces? How do you work it into your guys' process? And when do you decide I'm going to test this versus just go for it and do it?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a constant struggle. I really think that we try to tie it back to our overall roadmap. We've been using testing for a long time to inform our strategic roadmap, right? It kind of puts the questions that we might debate internally and ask the customer what they want. And so we try to target, what are our content tests that we're running? What are just site things that are happening? You don't want that development clash. The data gets a little muddy when you start to pair a bunch of tests together. And so we really try to be strategic with, where are content areas that we need to update, where are certain parts of the funnel that we can improve, layer in a pricing test every now and then, but really try to understand the customer's pain points, improve that journey, and then, focus on the time of year, right? Right now, we're trying to inform our Q3, Q4 strategy. So by the time we get to Black Friday, we can lead with our best foot.
Cool. And I think what I've heard from a lot of people recently is a focus on, we were talking about creative testing in the last panel, making sure that the creative rhymes with the on-site experience and what's shown there. Like, how much do you guys integrate that inside your team? Is it totally different people thinking about ad testing versus site? Do you oversee both?
Yeah, I think that's why at the start I talked about so much about our customer, because we are so driven by that across every single channel. So, if we're trying to develop a product and we want to figure out what color to make the product, we will literally send a text message asking our customer to choose, what do you want? And I think those insights we try to dial back, not just across the site, but growth, retention, and really form, a customer playbook that gives us, hey, this is what our customer's saying. We see some difference across channels. I think that's an important thing to note, right? Some content might work better on Facebook, obviously, than your website. But there's still an overall principle that you can tie back to.
Yeah, and I know on the different strokes for different folks, different segments reacting differently. Libie, you guys have done some different offers for different segments and leaned a little bit into personalization there. So how have you thought about, we have the free shipping threshold, the price, there's then here's why you should buy now. Have you thought about developing that new customer offer, and how does it differ for different acquisition channels for you?
Yeah, I think, we've done also a lot of testing. I think we've found this. I love e-commerce tools. Fondue is another one that I really like. So Fondue offers cash back, and we tested that a lot against a traditional discount, and found that for the welcome offer, a cash back offer is the best way to go. You're able to offer them a higher value, a higher percentage, and then they can redeem it after 30 days for either a Visa gift card or for a higher percentage Fulton gift card, and that's also a really great way to increase retention and LTV. But when it comes to more sales or seasonal discounts, we found that the cashback offer does not work as well. For that, we do a more traditional discount or a campaign using Intelligems. And all of that has been the result of testing. And I think similar to what you were saying, we don't want to do these tests during Black Friday, Cyber Monday. We try and, really front load all of our tests at the beginning of the year so that we can apply the learnings to Black Friday, Cyber Monday. So for example, we just did this test last weekend for Memorial Day of the Fondue cashback offer against a discount, and found, okay, the discount outperformed, and we'll be applying that to sales moving forward.
Yeah, I was going to ask, have you guys started planning Black Friday promotions yet?
Yeah, we start as early as February for us, but all these things take time, right? And I think we have a lot of learnings as we get towards September that even we're trying to still formalize the plan. I think it's weird to have Black Friday and then immediately go to February and talk about Black Friday. But
I think one more question for you guys, and we'll turn to the audience. And again, one more off the cuff. How do you think about promotional strategy overall and brand equity and not always being on sale and the right offer to the right place? Does that come into your decisions about how to structure that sale? Is that just, hey, this is name of the game, we have to have something for folks? I'm curious what the debate has been internally.
Yeah, I would say for us, it's been really challenging because we're so discount avoidant, right? There's a lot of brands in the workwear space that will mark down products, and we just know over time, right, on that first customer purchase, we're going to get them hooked, and that's what they're going to expect the next time. And so we really want to focus more on the value we can provide to customers. One area, I think you mentioned it too, is packs and bundles. We've just seen there's overall benefits to that, right? AOV and everything. But it's really helped us, one, cement that, hey, we're going to give you an offer, provide the value. But But those customers who buy those boots and pants together in that bundle, they actually have a really high LTV because we're able to serve all their needs on the job site every day.
Yeah, I think it's a really good question. It's a hard question. It's a combination of, we don't want to be too precious about the brand. We ultimately want to drive revenue and grow the business, but there also is, we don't want to train our customers to only buy when there's a discount. So we really think about like what are the most important times of the year that we do need to offer a discount. And the other thing that we consider is also like how our inventory levels. For example, this past March and April, the business grew a lot more than we had anticipated and forecasted. And as a result of that, we were like, maybe we shouldn't run a full-on Memorial Day sale. And we actually limited our Memorial Day sale to just our email list and not like site-wide to new customers that we are prospecting. And it was an interesting learning. I think that our CAC from Facebook went up significantly because the customers that we were acquiring through Facebook were expecting a sale because all other brands are on sale during Memorial Day. We did drive a lot of revenue through our email list, but I think to answer your question, I think like we do try and do sales on the weekends that are kind of expected. So Labor Day, Memorial Day, and obviously Black Friday, Cyber Monday. And then other than that, I think we try and think about what are other key pillars that an offer would be impactful for. So for example, we do offer like a New Year sale because there is a lot of momentum around New Year, new me, pain relief, being active. So that always does work for us historically. But yeah, other than that, I think we try not to be too discount heavy if possible.
Cool. Thanks, guys. Open to questions.
So if a brand is really on the fence about starting an A/B testing program, about making that investment, what might you tell them?
I would just say maybe don't test your entire audience. I think Intelligems has a great feature that you can dedicate like a certain percentage of traffic. But then again, I also think you should go into all of these with a really open mind. You might be surprised. We've been surprised by the results of so many tests that have ultimately really improved the business and impacted it. So if you're on the fence about testing, you should just test.
Yeah, similar. I mean, I think we have a saying that we say a lot, which is fail forward. I think a lot of people are afraid, like you hear the phrase test to win. I think some of our biggest wins, it's a game of inches, right? And so we win small wins, but in between those small wins, we also lose a lot. As long as you learn from those losses, then you can eventually work your way to a really big win. And I think that's the value of testing as a whole.
Pricing sensitivity when integrating new products into the mix?
Yeah, that's a good question. One of the things we struggle with is understanding the workwear space has a variety of different trades within it, right? And so within that, right now, we're still small in terms of our offering, but we have different use cases for different products. And then when you pair that with, our apparel and everything else, it's just understanding what the customer is going to need. And so I think how we've approached that is, running a blanket test of saying, hey, we're going to increase boot prices by $10. And that might lose, but what we do is we take the breakdown of the products, see what lost the most, and see what had just a small decrease. We then switch over, say, hey, we're going to raise the boot prices of those by $5. So we can figure out not just by category, but by SKU, what is the sensitivity? Because for some products, our customer might be willing to pay more based on the market value of what that offers.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, like we've seen an interesting example on that. Like sheets companies, will test the whole collection, test all the sheets, but then as you start narrowing in, it's like, oh, there's way more price sensitivity on King. People can afford a King bed, will pay more. So you can kind of start broad and then narrow down to collections and different slices and start to see where there's different elasticity.